Hello, welcome to episode 26 on my YouTube channel and ACIM Gather. Today, I want to talk about a couple of words: faith, faithfulness, trust, teaching, and helpfulness. For me, I think they're all linked, and that kind of surprises me. A friend in Syria wrote about a song that keeps her going. And maybe you know it. I think it's a famous song. And I believe it's called "He's Always Been Faithful to Me." And some of the words are, "Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Morning by morning, I wake up to find the power and comfort of God's hand in mine. Season by season, I watch him amazed in awe of the mystery of his perfect ways. All I have need of, his hand will provide. He's always been faithful to me." I can't remember a trial or a pain he did not recycle to bring me gain. I can't remember one single regret in serving God only and trusting his hand. All I have need of, his hand will provide. He's always been faithful to me. This is my anthem. This is my song, the theme of the stories I've heard for so long. God has been faithful. He will be again. His loving compassion, it knows no end. All I have need of, his hand will provide. He's always been faithful to me. That was powerful for me this morning. You can imagine living in Syria, or maybe you can't. I think it's the unimaginable. The torture, the buildings that were revered, that were ancient, that had been destroyed by gunfire, by bombs, people turning against people. It's the worst of what we've seen in life. Very little power, electrical power, very little food, very little hope, not feeling the government is working for the people, knowing you can be in jail for nothing or anything. And yet my friend feels the power of God. This struck me because I always think of faith as coming from the human side. Now, I admit that I am not a religious expert, and I know that my friend is a Catholic. And so I believe that faithfulness from God toward the person is a way that faith is also spoken of. And the Course in Miracles has that as well. What could you not trust when everything has been designed for you, for your perfect happiness, for your perfect well-being? Of course, I've changed the words, but that's the meaning. It's the same in language, but it's quite different from the non-dual. And yet it's all the same. We can find the differences and we can find the sameness depending on the oneness of our point of view. So, what would the non-dual say? Faith sounds like a personal word. And in the non-dual, it's not personal. So there is no person feeling faith or choosing. But from the point of view of a separate person, of course there is. Now in the non-dual, even the separate person is part of consciousness. It's part of the play of consciousness. It's part of the oneness. It's part of the play actor feeling like life is terrible. That would be part of Syria. I want to read to you what the Course in Miracles says about the world, because in the glossary of terms, it speaks to what I am speaking of. It says the realm of time and space of separated existence is what the world is. The physical world, seen by our eyes, is an illusion that was not created by God, since only madness makes a world like this. That would be workbook lesson 152, section 6, 7. Paragraph 6, section 7. But is the projection of our own collective insanity. So the world is a projection. However, the term often includes both the level of physical form, which are illusory and made by us, and the minds associated with those forms. And that should be minds with a capital, which are real and created by God. So you see how even the Course, which sometimes talks about the world being separate, is also the world of oneness, which is God. And then it goes on to say, seeing the true holiness of those minds is seeing the real world. From this perspective only is the world you see with the physical eyes. A common phrase in the Course is an illusion made by us. So we can see the real world and the illusory world as one if we put together the world of separation, which is only a belief, and the world of oneness, the real world, the mind of God with a capital M. But let's talk about those other worlds, because they can, words, those other words that I mentioned in the beginning, it feels like they all connect. Because I was thinking about helpfulness prayer. I am here to represent the oneness that sent me. I am here only to be truly helpful. I looked up the word helpful. And where is that? I am here only to be truly helpful. And I looked up that word helpful, and it says productive. Now, is that productive from the world of separation, the world of illusion? I don't think so. So, what's productive in the oneness? It's changing what's in our mind. It's changing our viewing point. If we view ourselves as the oneness, then I need do nothing comes into play. If we see ourselves as the separate being, then we have to ask at every moment, the Holy Spirit, what is productive? What is it that you would want to teach? Heal me as you teach me how to be helpful. I will be healed as you help me become a helper of yours. It gets kind of hypnotic when you try to sort it all out. And I think it's purposeful. I think we're to see the hypnosis of trying to be in two worlds at the same time. It's not possible. It's all very clear when we're in the oneness. Now let's look at the next word that's a synonym for helpful, efficacious. What a great word. That is not usually in my vocabulary. Efficacious means, to me, effective. Now, how in the world could this separate mind even begin to know what's efficacious? We have beliefs, we have ideas, but the first few lessons of A Course in Miracles show us that our small mind is made of junk. We don't even know how to think. So we can't possibly know what's helpful or efficacious. So we, again, if we're in the separate mind, we're learning what the Holy Spirit means. We need a bridge. If we look up Holy Spirit in the glossary of terms, I'm not going to read it to you right now, but it's what God created when we're in that separated self to reach out to us, to be there for us to reach to. But to me, this is the transition to the oneness, to the non-dual, where we don't need a Holy Spirit when we're in the oneness. We don't need a prayer to ask for help. We are the bridge of God in this world of illusion, because it's also in the non-dual considered God's world. There is no world that's God's world, and no world that's not. There is a world of illusion, but that's also God's play world, the world of awareness. Just try it out in your heart. If you try with your mind, you'll be like a rule keeper. You'll say, oh no, I need to defend the Course in Miracles, and it says this, but it also says that. If you are a rule keeper for the non-dual, you'll say this and you'll say that. But let's check into the heart, because that's where we'll find truth. Not the heart of feelings, not the heart of changeability, the heart that never changes, the heart that knows truth, that heart that is the heart of recognizing, of knowing again what we forgot. It's all oneness. Oneness never lies. Oneness doesn't need the small mind to argue. There is no argument in oneness. I want to say thank God for that. Thank God there is a place of peace that passes all understanding. Thank God there is a place of recognizing what is the peace that passes all understanding. That's that place that has no argument, that is not unsure, that can be truly helpful, because we are it. We're not talking about it. We are it. We are what God is. And then we can be the other synonyms. We can be a beneficial presence. I love this next one. It's really quirky. Another synonym for helpful is profitable. We tend to think of that word profitable as a word that fits into the world of illusion. But what greater profit can we gain but the lack of suffering? For me, the peace of God means the lack of suffering. For me, the peace of God and being truly helpful and recognizing or recognizing is the lack of suffering. The next synonym for being truly helpful is advantageous. Advantageous to who? Isn't that great? Advantageous. Now that will pick up the ego in being truly helpful. If it's advantageous to me as a separate person, it can hardly be truth. If it's not advantageous to all, then it's not truly advantageous or helpful in the world of oneness. But if you take it to another level, everything is advantageous, because who's the arbiter of what's me, what's you? There is no me and you, so it's all advantageous. And the Course is so helpful here. What does it say? I forgot the word I was going to use. At least it was a line from the Course. Let me take just a second. All things are lessons God would have me learn. You see, if we just take a pause when we lose it, even for a second, what's forgetting? Forgetting is losing it for just a millisecond, because there's only now, and there's only now, and there's only now. I was talking to a friend who is also a Catholic in terms of how he was raised. I don't believe that he is a practicing Catholic, but you know, those things stay in our roots. And he was raised in Cuba, and he's a very wise man. And so I asked him, what do you think of when you think of trust? What comes to mind? Because I was struggling with trust and faith. Are those about the future? Because when I'm in the oneness, it's not a question. I think I only need trust and faith when I'm in time and when I'm in the separate person. Because doing, not doing, this moment, the now, it didn't seem like trust and faith were applicable. Although you could say trust and faith is apparent afterwards, because we always have 100% trust and faith. If you look at what we did, what we spoke, our thoughts, we either believed in a separate person or we were acting from oneness. But that's past. So now we have past and future. But I think the teachers of God, when they speak of trust and faith being paramount, I think it's like a lot of the Course. It's speaking to us as separate people. And at other moments, it's like lesson 189. Forget the Course, forget duality, forget the separate mind, forget all your illusions. Come with holy, empty arms. But when it says forget the Course, forget the concepts. Come empty. Then you don't need trust and faith. You need to just come wholeheartedly. So then we don't need mind training. There's no chooser. There's no made up world. The world of oneness is only one world. There's no mind junk because we're not thinking. But what did this person say when I asked him, what do you think of? And he said a word that surprised me. He said loyalty. When he thinks of trust and faith, he thinks of loyalty. Well, that was very weird for me because I think I was taught, because of my parents leaving Nazi Germany, not to be loyal to anyone or anything because they will all betray you. What a thought. But if I'm honest, I believe that is what I was taught. Their Jewish faith betrayed them. They were sent to the infernos. Their friends betrayed them. Even family love and decisions betrayed them because my mother's sister and parents were destroyed by their decisions. And so, how could my mother trust and be loyal to them when, in her perception, they died from their choices. So I don't think this is what my friend meant. When I dug deeper, he learned to be loyal to his friends, the exact opposite of what I learned. They got by in communist Cuba by trusting 100% in their friends, in their family, that I will do for you just as I do for myself and my family. He told me early on that you never bring socks from America without bringing socks for all the neighbors. He told me that you betray the government rules to help your friend. If you're the worker in the lumber yard and their roof has caved in, somehow you will slip them the wood that they cannot buy because of the government rules and the government treatment. And you will trust that you will be okay because everything depends on trust. Wow, that's a trust I don't know from. That's a trust that this dear friend is teaching me. But actually, the truth is, I do have that trust because when I'm in oneness, trust is not an issue. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow. What does that mean? I'm not thinking. I'm not believing. I'm not in the future. I'm not in the past. I'm not doubting. I am just the receptor, the being filled with God, with awareness. There is no actor. There is only in that moment all the words that the Course speaks of, the holy instant, salvation, awakening, ascension, enlightenment. There is no distance. When I'm in the flow, that is what truly helpful, I believe, really means. And I may need to watch this video again. And there's my signal to stop because it's a phone call. Bye, everyone. Thank you.